Welcome to the presentation, Prader-Willi Syndrome, a brief overview created for community care licensing by the Prader-Willi California Foundation, an affiliate of the National Prader-Willi Syndrome Association. This presentation provides you with a brief overview of Prader-Willi syndrome to help you review requests for waivers that ensure the health and safety of persons diagnosed with PWS. You will learn about the PWS hyperphagia symptom. Potentially deadly, hyperphagia drives individuals with PWS to constantly search for food and, if found, consume potentially deadly amounts. Individuals with PWS have many unique medical and psychological challenges. Service providers and ancillary program staff, including nurses, physicians, dietitians, day program, vocational work staff, and recreational program staff must receive PWS-specific training to ensure the health and safety of the individuals with PWS they serve. Prader-Willi syndrome, as it is correctly pronounced, is a rare, complex genetic disorder caused by missing genes on chromosome 15. PWS alters brain function, resulting in hyperphagia, which is a life-threatening, uncontrollable biochemical drive to eat that is not satiated or satisfied despite the quantity of food consumed. PWS causes impaired judgment and high levels of anxiety, which often lead to maladaptive behaviors including verbal and physical aggression, self-injury, and elopement. PWS is a spectrum disorder. However, everyone has some degree of hyperphagia and requires 24/7 supervision throughout their lifetime. There are a multitude of symptoms associated with PWS, and here we've listed some of the more common symptoms. Hyperphagia, we know, is that dysfunctional appetite regulating system. Hypotonia is decreased muscle tone. There are frequently problems with balance, coordination, and motor planning. There is abnormal growth, resulting in short stature and small hands and feet. Cognitive limitations, resulting in mild to moderate intellectual disability, learning disabilities, and always impaired judgment. There are GI issues, including slow emptying stomach, called gastroparesis, and a slow emptying bowel, swallow abnormalities, and an inability to vomit. Hyper and hypothermia are irregularities in body temperature regulating systems. And high pain threshold impairs the recognition of the extent or location of an injury or illness. Disordered sleep is common. Apneas and often lead to excessive daytime sleepiness. Skin picking is very common and can be severe and result in scarring and infection. Speech and language issues are very common, dyspraxia being quite common. There is incomplete sexual development. A very common psychiatric issue is anxiety. Additional issues include perseveration, lying, confabulation, and psychosis. There are a number of autism spectrum disorder symptoms that are folded into Prader-Willi syndrome. Orthopedic abnormalities are common, including scoliosis and kyphosis. Eye abnormalities include strabismus and amblyopia. Dental problems are quite common due to decreased saliva production. Gallbladder problems, enuresis, and liver abnormalities leading to medication sensitivity. What is PWS hyperphagia? PWS hyperphagia occurs because the brain does not receive and/or process signals of feeling full. The brain functions as if it believes the body is starving. So it drives the individual to eat or find as much food as possible. It lowers the metabolic rate to about half what it should be, and it stores consumed food as fat more frequently than it should. PWS hyperphagia persists throughout the lifetime. Unmanaged hyperphagia plus slow metabolism causes rapid weight gain and the potential for acute stomach rupture or necrosis, acute bowel rupture or necrosis, or morbid obesity. PWS is not an eating disorder. PWS is a medical disorder. What does PWS hyperphagia look like? PWS hyperphagia includes preoccupation with food, food seeking and foraging, sneaking, manipulation, hiding, and hoarding of food, eating unusual or dangerous food-related items, including sticks of butter, pet food, mouthwash, or rotten food taken from the trash. PWS hyperphagia causes food-related anxiety that frequently results in dangerous behaviors, including verbal aggression, physical aggression, elopement, burglary, theft, self-injury, and a lack of regard for personal safety. There is no genuine learning to control the PWS hyperphagia food drive, and no known medication eliminates or even reduces the PWS hyperphagia food drive. Why is PWS hyperphagia deadly? The vomit reflex is absent, so the body does not expel consumed poisons or rotten food or too much food. The slow emptying stomach can lead to death from just one food gorging incident due to poisoning, rupture, or necrosis. And a slow emptying bowel can lead to death from just one food gorging incident due to bowel rupture or necrosis. There is a defective swallow function which increases the risk for choking and pulmonary aspiration. And the impulsive and irrational thinking that is so common in people with the syndrome can lead to death from, say, jumping from a moving vehicle or a multi-story building, or crossing a highway, or breaking into a nearby house and being shot. We mention these because all of them have occurred. When there are no stressors, most people with Prader-Willi syndrome are friendly, want to be helpful, desire social relationships. It should be noted that most people with PWS lack the social skills necessary to sustain those wanted peer relationships, however. PWS causes increased sensitivity to stressors and anxiety. And that anxiety is real whether it's experienced from an actual or a perceived stressor. Anything that raises anxiety has the potential to cause an unwanted, maladaptive behavior. Access to or the hope to access unauthorized food creates anxiety and the potential for unwanted, maladaptive behaviors. What are PWS maladaptive behaviors? Some of the more common maladaptive behaviors include repeated questions, excessive talking, arguing, lying and confabulation or making up stories, verbal aggression, stealing, controlling behaviors, refusal behaviors, oppositional and defiant behaviors, physical aggression, property destruction, skin picking, and elopement. It should be noted that most people with PWS are very good self-advocates, but they typically advocate in maladaptive, socially inappropriate ways. So much of the behavior of someone with PWS is dependent upon their environment and the individuals with whom they're interacting. This slide just simply illustrates the need for environmental management and intervening quite early so that behavior issues and tantrum issues don't escalate into what can become very dangerous behaviors with individuals with Prader-Willi syndrome. Management of PWS behaviors is unique to PWS. Persons with PWS are dependent upon their environment and the people in that environment to manage their behavior. Behavior management interventions and strategies must be specific to persons with PWS. Access to food must be restricted with physical locks to reduce anxiety and anxiety-related maladaptive behavior. Use applied behavior analysis or ABA interventions with extreme caution, as some of them can often increase maladaptive behaviors in people with the syndrome. PWS-specific education and training is required to develop and implement appropriate behavioral interventions and plans. PWS-specific education and training is available from the Prader-Willi California Foundation. People with PWS cannot live independently. But why? Because the PWS hyperphagia food drive prohibits the ability to reliably and consistently demonstrate the judgment and restraint necessary to appropriately and safely manage their food intake. Persons with PWS are dependent upon others for most, if not all, of their activities of daily living and basic health and safety needs, including hygiene and dress, meal preparation and feeding, independent mobility, housekeeping, and financial management. No one diagnosed with PWS is known to be able to live independently. Those who have tried have either become morbidly obese or died. PWS is different from other developmental disabilities because restricted access to food is required for the health and safety of the individual with the syndrome. restricted access to cash, credit cards, checkbooks, the internet, which can be used to purchase food, all is required for the health and safety of persons with PWS. Punishment typically escalates unwanted maladaptive behaviors. And again, some ABA interventions escalate unwanted maladaptive behaviors. The level of supervisory support should not be reduced when goals are reached, especially behavior goals. And independent living is not the goal for someone with PWS until such time as there is a treatment of that PWS hyperphagia symptom. There are specific environmental standards of care that help ensure the health and safety of the individual with PWS. These include provide continuous supervision 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Secure all food sources with locks 24/7. Keep the refrigerator and food cupboard doors locked at all times. Keep cash, checks, credit cards, internet access secured at all times because money purchases food. Trash bins both inside and outside the home may need to be secured. Install all exit and windows with alarms and delayed egress whenever possible. Ensure that all residential staff and ancillary professionals are well trained in PWS, including dietitians, nurses, social workers, the internist physician, psychiatric physician, and all other healthcare specialists. Ensure that all vocational worksite staff, day program, and community volunteer site staff are well trained in PWS. People with PWS need lifelong 24/7 supervision and support. Persons with PWS must live in one of three settings: in-home with their family, or an adult residential facility that specializes in PWS, or supported living with PWS training for all staff. Day programs, vocational work, frequent recreational, community, and social opportunities are critical for people with the syndrome and reduce maladaptive behavior. With appropriate supports, people with the syndrome can live long, happy, and healthy lives. There are a number of PWS training resources available. Prader-Willi California Foundation, or PWCF, can offer on-site, Skype, and phone training. PWS Residential Staff Training is an excellent DVD available from PWCF. Supporting Adults with PWS in Residential Settings is an awesome book available from both PWCF and PWSA USA. Prader-Willi Syndrome Behavior Management Strategies That Work is a DVD available from PWCF. And PWS Behavior Management Strategies Beyond the Basics is available from PWCF either by thumb drive or a downloadable video. There are three main organizations that provide PWS supports and referral resources: the Prader-Willi California Foundation, the Prader-Willi Syndrome Association, USA, and the International Prader-Willi Syndrome Organization. All of these organizations offer information in other languages as well. Prader-Willi California Foundation is a nonprofit 501c3 public charity that was established in 1979. We believe that individuals with PWS should have the opportunity to pursue their hopes and dreams to the full extent of their talents and capabilities. We know the success of people with PWS depends greatly upon the knowledge and support of the community around them. PWCF provides individuals with PWS, their families, and professionals with a state network of information, advocacy, and support services. Please contact us when we may be of service to you or the agencies you serve.